Well, what's going on, Facebook family and friends and social media family and friends all over the world? Once again, on this 6th day of December, it is another Wellness Wednesday with yours truly, Joe Dupree from 100 BLK, the Black Station, my good brother, Edward J. Brown from Positive Choices Counseling Service, and from the Bullet Box, a passion project, Miss Shauna Sias. We all in the building. Unfortunately, we got to start this podcast off on a tragic note for, as you have all probably heard, and if you haven't, I don't know what rock you are under, but another mass shooting has occurred in the United States of America in Las Vegas, Nevada at UNLV. So our prayers go out to all who have been victimized by this senseless act of gun violence that has broken out again at one of our local universities. I just don't know how we gonna fix this thing, because every time you turn around, somebody somewhere is having to deal with a situation like this.
And like we say, as we've been talking about on this podcast for years, don't be the next one.
Come on, that part.
We have too many people that are not listening to the cries of mental health issues in this country until stuff like this happen. Now, trust me, when you turn your computer, your television on, that's the first thing they're going to talk about, the mental health of the shooter. But that's a reactive approach. Haven't we been talking about that? But when we talk about taking a proactive approach, don't cut mental health out the budget. Allow for these people to get the help that they need. Oh, well, we'll talk to you about it later. But now they want to talk about it.
Right. And I'll add to that, that historically, with the shootings, when the investigations begin to uncover and they begin talking to the assailants, usually the bottom line is from some type of bullying situation where this child or adult, because if uncertain of who the culprit is, but usually it stems from some type of bullying type of situation, and it's still not addressed. Just like mental health is cut, bullying is not even addressed as it should. It's zero tolerance, and that's it. And it's the zero tolerance is for the response, not the action itself. So my prayers to UNLV and all the family members, the entire area. My prayers and condolences.
We can control the consumption of alcohol and have things like DWIs, but we cannot control the acquisition of firearms in this country. Because the minute you start talking about putting regulations in place, you ain't taking my guns. You ain't taking my gun. We're not trying to take your guns. We're trying to save lives. And what's the difference between alcohol regulation and gun regulation? What's the difference?
And opiate regulations.
Hey, there we go. So I'm just really frustrated and tired tonight because here we are again the next time. And there'll be a next time and a next time and a next time.
When is enough?
I'm really
enough going to be enough.
I'm gonna leave it at this. And then when we start talking about election cycles, you don't want to put people in office with mental health, gun control, and allowing the services for our children in the discussion. We don't want to talk about that. Okay. So until that happens, stop being shocked. Stop being surprised. Stop clutching your pearls when these type of things happen, because they're going to continue to happen because they're only a priority after the fact.
Certainly.
I had to give you a round of applause for that one, brother, and a little bell. That's a good place for me to transition to what we were really going to talk about, and most of the night, what we are going to talk about. Your mental health matters. That's why we do this. Not only does your mental health matters, a healthy you is always a better you.
That's right.
So I had a great conversation before we even came on here with Sister Sias, and here's what we really need to stop doing. And a lot of us do it. I'm guilty of it. I'll raise my hand. Many a time we let other people's opinions and what they say about you and how they say it about you affect you mentally. And we're going to talk about that tonight. And we're going to talk about something that's very uncomfortable, especially in this season, because this is the holiday season. This is the season of giving and Thanksgiving and the season of family and love and sharing hope for a new year that's on the horizon. But during this season, a lot of people are lonely. Yeah, a lot of people walking around with smiles on their face. But inside, they are depressed, lonely, and they feel alone. And yes, we got to talk about it because unfortunately, everybody wants to talk about things after the fact. Like you said, from a reactive point of view, we try to be very proactive here. Now, there are some folks who said the last show we did, we were going in on some folks. That's what was told to me. No, we weren't going in on anybody. We're just here simply to tell the truth from our point of view. And if you feel like we're actually shooting shots at somebody, then, you might need to check yourself, as they once used to say back in the day, before you riggedy wreck yourself.
You throw a rock in the pig pen, the one that squeal is the one you hit.
That's it.
Hey.
So we've been doing this for some years here. And, and I'm going to go ahead and give credit where credit is due. All of a sudden seems to be a few more folk are watching. And I like to applaud Miss Sias and the Bully Box Passion Project for coming on board, because I know that has a lot to do with some of these folks coming in looking. But guess what? And we talked about this too. Your opinion about somebody doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be my opinion about somebody. And the last time I checked, the only person who's been paying bills around here is me and Mr. Edward J. Brown. So we will bring on here whoever we choose to bring on here, whenever we choose to bring them on here. I'm giving myself a bell on that one.
And let the church sing.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
So we're here to talk about things. Some folks, I ain't trying to borrow nobody's catchphrase or catchline. Somebody had the mitigated audacity to try to say they've been saying such and such for years. And now other folks are catching on. I don't talk about folks like that. I've been in the radio game since 1985. I've got so many catch slogans and things that I have been said from those years, from 85 until 9, I done lost track. So I respect that you have individuals that are listening to you, and I want you to give them good, wholesome information from your point of view. But once again, everything on this show is from our point of view. Not saying that our point of view is your point of view, or we're trying to make you see it from our point of view to make it your point of view. Here's what we're doing. We're giving you how we see it. You look at it the way you need to look at it. compare yours to ours, and then you come down to a conclusion that is best for you. That's all
my thing is, if you ain't gonna say it in the comments or call up the show, spare me. Say I don't have time. You know, we do this for an entire hour and sometimes more. If there is somebody that feels some type of way about anything we say on this show, know two things. Number one, it's never done with malicious intent.
Amen.
Our intent is never to hurt anyone or to cause anybody any ill will. That's number one. And number two, if you are, we ain't hard to find. So, I mean,
that's like Prime. That's like
I'm just saying.
Say it one more again. We ain't what?
We're not hard to find. Because again, anyone that has anything to say contrary to what we speak on this podcast, please, all I ever ask is that it's done in a respectful manner and it is done in a helpful manner.
Right.
Because if you're not calling here to disseminate information that is going to be helpful to better the quality of somebody's life, spare me. Take it somewhere else because we really don't have time. We got an hour, maybe a little bit more to get as much information in as we can. We don't have time for the nonsense.
For the malarkey. So we have always been under the premise that we come here because of two things. First of all, a healthy you is a better you. Number two, your mental health matters. And many times in communities of color, these issues are not addressed until after there's been slow singing and flower bringing. After there has been a suicide or a mass shooting. After there has been a murder or an individual gets handled in a way by another individual or by an agency or by people we trust in a manner where we say, wait a minute, you knew that boy had mental issues. Why'd y'all handle him that way? So we've been here for years, not when it was popular, not when it was the button item that made folks say, oh, I might need to vote for this person or vote for that person. No, we've been here for years talking about issues that affect our community for this reason. We want our community to be a better community. And we're not waiting for folks outside of our community to come in our community and begin to save our community. We can start the salvation on the inside and let that salvation spring out to the outside where I don't have to leave the hood because it's still all good in the hood, because in this hood, we can transform this hood to be a utopia that it needs to be. But the problem is, we got too many pimps and prostitutes in our community that are definitely pimping and prostituting our community out. Now, some of them look like you and me. Some of them carry degrees. Some of them have elected positions, appointed positions. Some of them have talk shows and podcasts. But at the end of the day, right's right and right don't wrong nobody. And I don't care how you phrase it, how you dress it up. I don't care what titles you give to your situation or your issue. At the end of the day, here's what I ask myself. Are you serving yourself? Are you really serving the community? Because at the end of the day, guess what? I have to stand before somebody much bigger than me one day, and he's going to know what was in my heart while I was doing what I was doing. With that being said, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I turn it over first to my brother, Edward James
Well, you know, there's a lot of things we have to say about that. And in regards to, we don't need anybody to tell us what's wrong with our community. We know. You know, and I think about when we go back to Reaganomics, you know, the crack epidemic, say no to drugs. Crack wasn't a problem until it hit the suburbs. See, because they had been doing, it was called freebase back in the day. And then when it became the cracker, it had hit the suburbs in Bel Air, now Barbara Bush is like, well, we got to say no to drugs. When violence started to hit the suburbs and automatic weapons hit the suburbs, now we have to do something about gun control. There have been guns in the neighborhood. They was dumping them after Vietnam.
Come on.
So we know what's wrong in our neighborhood. And if you're not there to make it better, then you're a predator. You're part of the problem. We have to get to the point in our community where we address our issues before the outside comes in and try to address our issues because they're not doing it from a sincere place. See, we know Miss Gladys's son who suffers from mental illness.
Come on.
See, we know him. We watched him grow up. You know, so they start talking about policing in our neighborhood. See, if I was a police officer, I know him. So I understand when he's in the middle of the street ranting and raving, all he wants is something from his mother, and it's a temper tantrum. And I know he's not a threat to harm anybody.
Come on.
But that comes back to knowing and being connected to your community. You see, so when we rise up and we get these positions and people start to see us, you see, look right, when they start to see us, now it's no longer about the issue and more about being seen. So we have to get back to the point where the issues in our community become the things that we address and not just being seen. Remember we talked about last year? It's people passing out checks only when there's cameras around.
Come on. Come on.
Okay. There's only people who's addressing in the Santa Claus spirit when people are seeing you. What about when you're doing things anonymously to address the issues in your community? Because isn't the important part making sure it get done?
Come on. A resolution. A resolution to the issue.
Make sure there's some type of change occurring. You know, so I mean, at this point, to talk about letting someone control my thermostat, that never happens.
Come on.
See,
that part.
I had to get to the point where I realized if I allow people to control my thermostat, here's what I'm doing technically. I'm allowing something I have no control over to control me. And the best analogy I heard of that was one of my mentors told me, caring about what somebody that don't like you say is like you drinking poison and waiting for them to die.
Come on, that part.
And when he told me that, I said, wait, that makes no sense. He said, neither does caring what someone that you have no control over says or feels about you.
Come on.
You didn't do anything to change it. You didn't do anything to make it happen.
Come on, because your mental health matters. Miss Shauna Sias, you are now up next. Come on, bring it.
That was definitely a lot to ingest, both for me and I'm certain the viewers. But what I want to pull came from you, Brother Joe, when you said that, you know, you all have been doing things before it was popular. I definitely can attest to that, because until I was made popular by sheer accident, so to speak, right? I was doing it before it was popular or paying. Yeah, and people sometimes don't understand that when you meet people like us, like the three of us that's on here right now, we believe in helping because help is needed. Okay. We believe in helping because help is needed, because that's how we were taught, or we wanted to do the opposite of what we were taught. Okay. So either one of the two. And the disconnect with the community often comes because when people want to give and they do give, yes, it's received. But then when the need is there, those people aren't there. And that's because we don't understand that the pimps only come around when it's time for services. They only come around when it's time for services. So if you don't require a service, you won't see them. Of course, if they need you, they gonna go find you, because that's what pimps do. But now when you need certain things like access to mental health, dentist in a rural area, help because maybe you've applied for disability and it's going to take 6 months to a year on a backlog, things like that. When you need those kinds of services, you don't have any help. Why? Because it does not benefit them.
Ooh.
It does not benefit them. So we all know this, but yet what do we continue to do? I shall tell you.
Come on.
We continue to make the same kinds of decisions, both personally and politically, because we'll put our homie in there because he's or she is our color. And sometimes them the wrong ones to put in there. We have to understand that the sum of the parts is not greater than the whole. It's not greater than the whole. You can have a circle and you could pick off pieces of the circle, but when you start connected, it is still going to make a circle. It just might be a circle. Or you could pick off parts and add a piece. But if it's not that circular area, you can't put a hexagon in a circle. You can't put a rectangle in a circle. It has to fit. So sometimes you have to extract, sometimes you have to add. And none of that has to do with what I think about you.
See, we don't realize that though. We believe that people's opinions really carry more weight than it actually does. And in actuality, you and I and what we think of one another has nothing to do with accomplishing the task, as long as we both are qualified and committed to that task. You see, that's what's important. Are you committed to the same task? Whether I like you, and think about an NBA. It was players that we finding out later today, at this point, couldn't stand one another. But if we won multiple championships together.
Come on.
Us being friends, us liking one another is lagniappe. It's extra. It's a benefit. It's not required.
I'm almost.
Go ahead, sister. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. This is the first time I'm going to actually kinda disagree, just slightly. And someone's opinion of you should not matter. That sounds great. It do.
But in reality,
that's what I taught my children. Don't worry about people. Nobody talk about you. Don't worry about it. But in reality, and I'm only telling you this, brother, because I didn't experience this one. What people think of you will absolutely outweigh anything you do, have done, or can offer when you throw politics in. Well, soon as you throw some political correctness, because baby, let me tell you something.
That might be why
this is about to upset the peoples. Okay, with the S, the peoples. If you throw Shauna Sias' name in a room, two things gonna happen. No matter where you go. No matter where you go. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Shreveport, North Louisiana. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Throw it in the air and one of two things gonna happen. Actually, one of three. They ain't gonna know me. That could happen. Number two, they gonna love me. They're gonna have great things to say. Or that last one, they gonna hate my guts. You see that hate your gut section? That hate your gut section is usually not very apparent as the I love you or I don't know you section. People are real quick, always quick to say, oh yeah, I know so-and-so. Oh yeah, I like them. Nobody, with the exception of myself and maybe a few others, will absolutely tell somebody, no, I don't like them. And then can give you, see, this is where I was going to disagree, can give you a reason why. Many people do not like Shauna Sias, not because they know me. Nobody knows me. They know what I have done in the past. And not just 30 days ago past. not 2 years ago past, not 4, 5, 10, 15, I mean 15, 20, 25 years ago. That's what they know of me. They took some of that about 4 years ago, I think it was, huh, Brother Joe, with the whole George Floyd Kenyan ambulance ordeals about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, give or take that. 3 or 4, right?
Nobody knew nothing about Shauna Sias until I shared a post, number 248 share. I was the 249th one. I didn't know how much power my voice had. So when it was thrown upon me to have to stand on them 2 feet, it was either you're going to stand on them feet and hold what you said and take these licks, or you can just say you're sorry and it'll all go away.
Okay.
What you think I did?
Hold on. So come on, Brother Brown. Give
this real simple. They don't know you, they love you, or they hate you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take the third one. The people who hate you.
Mm-hmm.
Did it ever stop you from doing you or being you?
Throw that screen on, Brother Joe.
That section, because we got the don't know you, we got the love you, and the hate you.
Mm-hmm.
These jokers right here, has it
You
ever
asked me a question.
Stopped you from doing you or being you?
I allowed them to stop me. I allowed them, because I was going to say, yes, they did. And then I had to think about it. No. I allowed them. My inability to control my empathy. My inability to control my level of care and concern.
Because
so family, hold on.
Never changed anything.
I want to bookmark both of y'all on that one. See, that's what we need more of right there. See, that's why we do this podcast, because many a time people won't be that transparent. See, I just like Shauna, I used to have some major problems in my life. See, that's why I love this brother down there. I love him. Oh my goodness, because he will make you realize something that she said that a lot of folks won't admit to. She gave them the power to diminish her light. And guess what? Too many times we give folks too much power over us, and we got to do better. See, here's what gets me. The saying, since people want to throw out sayings and cliches, the saying is, if you know better, you do better. But that's not necessarily true every time, because that's why people don't understand the influence of what folks say and what folks do when it comes down to being directed to you. See, me and Shauna had a conversation earlier about character. And here's what's crazy. No, your validation don't validate me, because if God told me to do something, I'm going to do it, even if my spouse say, honey, I don't think we should do it. Well, honey, God told me you don't trump God. If my dad and mom say, well, I don't think you should do that, son, but you don't trump God. Now, here's the big issue. Here's where our mental health matters. Many of us say, I heard a voice. But did you ever vet or validate the voice you heard? Because the voice you heard may not have been the voice. It could have been your voice. I'm just saying, back to Shauna and Brother Edward. I'm out this thing.
You know, and when I allowed their hate to come through, it absolutely, Brother Edward, changed my entire life. It's almost impossible, because of what people have said about me, for me to get a job. Let's start there. Why? Because I said what I said. I said it then. I said it now. And I'm certain if I would apologize and make a public statement of declaration, you know how they make us do sometimes, all would be well.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be behind closed doors, and it wouldn't be to those individuals who are making decisions. But at the end of the day, This is what we're talking about at this podcast. And you'll attest to this. At this point right here, right now, when you look in the mirror, there should be a sense of peace with the decisions you made regarding what those people think and feel. Because what I've always told people, especially when I'm giving my opinion, and I heard this again from another one of my mentors, Dr. Morris Jeff, used to say, you know, you can get a cup of coffee for a quarter. So my opinion and a quarter, you still get the cup of coffee. So my opinion don't really matter at all. All it is my opinion, my thought. It doesn't change you, doesn't change your thought processes. We give individuals thoughts and feelings of us too much power. Now, I'm not walking around here naive or with my eyes wide shut. I realize that we're not talking about all people, because the people that we really care about, family, loved ones, yes, their opinions will matter and it will make us feel something. See, that's our loved ones. And we hope that your loved ones have no malicious intent in mind when they say something or they're expressing this. That's not who we're talking about. See, we're talking about these individuals that you may work with them. You may be in an organization with them. You may be in you may have a political affiliation with them. To believe that we are all going to think alike, walk alike, act alike, look alike is absurd. So why would I think that we are all going to feel alike about one another? Especially when we realize we don't live in a world full of equality. We don't live in that world. You and I can't do things that our colleagues may be able to do. We don't share those same privileges. But what I do share is the ability that when my colleague look at me and say, you know, something that I don't really like, I can say, well, I don't agree with that. And not say, oh, see, you don't like me. See, first of all, I didn't say anything about you. I said, I don't like or agree with that. But you personalized it. You made it about you. I didn't say I don't agree with you. I said, I don't. You said, when even a second ago, you said, I don't agree. I'm going to disagree with that a little bit. So for me to say, wait a minute, she don't like me. How you going to disagree with me on camera? No, you didn't agree with what I said.
And that right there, my brother, is where we have to get a better understanding that we can agree to disagree without falling out and becoming mortal enemies with one another.
We said we can disagree without being disagreeable.
Hey, and that, my friend, is one of the plagues that plagues communities of color all over this nation and world. That all of a sudden, when we don't agree on a situation, instead of us saying, listen, I agree to disagree, watch this. Watch this. Shauna, I'm going to hit him with what I talked about earlier to you. Watch this. In the NFL, they have two brothers with the last name Kelsey. One played for the Eagles. The other one plays for the Chiefs. They have happened to have met up a few times on the field of competition. They were brothers before the competition, and when the competition is over, they're still going to be brothers. They ain't fell out with each other, and all of a sudden, because one won or one lost, we not brothers no more. See, that's where we got to do better in our communities. We've got to be who we say we are going in and who we say we are going out. Because guess what? Shauna and I, or you, Brother Brown, we may all be applying for the same job. Doesn't mean if we were all three of us friends going in and one of us winds up with the job, we should be friends coming out. It shouldn't be, no, but that's
I'm gonna hope I get it and you go and buy drinks.
Right. Come on. But I had to hit him with the because people body language lately has told me a lot about things that they've been saying when I ain't around. So, and I ain't trying to throw no shots. I'm trying to educate folks. As a friend of mine would say, I'm here to give you some education to make you understand one thing. God knows what's in your heart, and God will always reveal it to those who he love and trust. And he love and trust all of us. But watch this. Some of us are in a place where we really who we say we are, and we really about what we say we about. Now, guess what? Family, we've got to do better for the greater good of our communities and for other brothers and sisters that look like us. And representation matters. Brother Edward will know that for a fact, because how many times do you hear people promote or even tell you that there are clinicians of color who do counseling? No, most of the times, most folk of color don't even know that there's folk out there of color that are in this profession.
That look like them, that do what we do.
Yeah. Hold it. Watch this. That's just like if you watch most war movies, have the war movie tell it ain't a person of black and brown color even fought in the war. Or did anything heroic. See, representation. See, it's the little nuances that we got to start paying attention to, family, because this is programming us to make us feel just what Shauna said, and Shauna was very truthful. Many a times, the opinions of certain folks can make you feel less than when you don't know yourself. And we got to start working better, each one of us, on uplifting one another and knowing one another and being able to look at a brother or sister and say, brother, sister, you are special. You are God-made. You are wonderful. And no matter what you're going through, God got you. And if there's any way I can help you through the process, I'm here for you, because it's okay not to be okay. What's not okay is for you to go through it by yourself, because I'm sitting over here not wanting to associate myself with helping you because it doesn't benefit me.
I think I told you earlier when you had made that analogy with the football players, and I'm going to say it again. Just because we are opponents does not mean we have to be enemies.
Correct.
Come on.
Those are not the same things. I experienced, a little something during the political season, and I had to have a side conversation. Two people were running for the same thing, and I knew both of them. Well, I supported another one as opposed to another one, and it was the biggest backlash, and I was supposed to know of this big game plan. And long story short, my thing was this. Someone's choice of supporting someone politically, whether they're their friend or not, that is their decision. But what you should not do is ever make someone feel like they have made a bad decision for making a personal reason. You should not do that. You can't do that. And I saw the comment come up about the lady, she glad she ran across it because she was going through some depression. I was going to lead into that a minute ago with the opponents versus enemies. When you fight for certain things and you're an activist like we are, and advocates, and we're out in the community, we take a lot of shots. And I know personally, I take a lot of shots. And although, yes, it shouldn't matter, when you take 27 gut punches, that one to the chin might knock you down to your knee a little bit. You feel what I'm saying? So even the fighters have moments of wanting to quit.
Come on.
Every fighter, every one of them. My father was in the era of Martin Luther King Jr. I'm telling you, fighters have wanted to quit before. Why didn't they quit? Why did Malcolm keep going? Why did Martin keep going? Why did Rosa stay her behind right there and went back the next day? Because they had somebody that took the time behind the scene, the camera, the news, the whatever, to say, hey, bro, you really all right? Tell me you want to help me, but mean it. Offer me some help and answer the phone when we call. That's why they kept getting up and fighting, because they had someone to help them. And that's what the fighters today are missing. That is what most, and I'm going to speak from the single parent, not single women, single parent side. It's hard. Christmas is coming right now, and I done already told my children, Christmas is looking real. It's the thought that counted this year. We counting strokes and blessings this year. And I can say that with a good heart, but that's because my kids is older. They have parents who still believe, and I'm sorry for that. And if it hurts somebody's feelings, my bad. But December 24th and December 26th, they matter too. Absolutely. We cannot, a parent cannot break themselves. They cannot beat themselves up because they cannot get something for their children. Because I'm telling you, my children are 24, 19, and about to be 18 years old. They don't have not one toy I bought from Christmas. Not one from not even 2 years ago. The only gift my child has is my son, who is 24. He still has the very first PlayStation I ever bought him because he made a 4.0. Do not try to make the one day out of all 365 define who you are as a parent. If you need that, to the degree brother to the right of the screen, if I'm wrong, correct me, sir. If you need December 25th to show your children or loved ones that you are a good person, parent, friend, auntie, uncle, whatever, you already failed.
I'm sorry. But one of the things they taught us many, many, many years ago in college and in life and in internship is sometimes you know when you don't need to say nothing. And after what you just said right there, I'm not following that with anything in that area. I'm going to go in a completely different area and address this sister who says she glad she came upon us tonight, because what Sister Sias just said was as profound as it can get. You don't put yourself in 364 days of stress and anxiety for one day. It makes no sense. And I want to say to this sister that says she glad she came here, let me explain to you what I believe is that thing that make you glad. You're not alone. It's 3 other people on this podcast with you. And that's the 3 that's talking, not counting the others that's logged in. No one should feel as though they're going through anything alone. And depression has a way of making you feel you're alone. And you're not. I am glad you're here too. You glad you came across this? We glad you came across this. Look at us having something in common already. What I want to say to people about this holiday season that's coming up is make sure that while you out there shopping and putting yourself out there and spending this money you should be putting in saving bonds and things like that, that you say hello to somebody. That you say, how are you? Are you good? Happy holidays to you. because that could be the difference between that person walking around depressed and that person saying, well, hi, I'm fine. Thank you for asking. And really mean thank you for asking. We can't imagine this because of the number of people we come into contact with in a particular day. But the three of us can't comprehend the concept of no one in a 24-hour period saying, hey man, how you doing? It's just incomprehensible. But there are people who are living not far from you, who are working with you, who are, you're right, Brother Joe, not happy that it's Thanksgiving holiday, Christmas holiday, and then New Year's coming up. They're not happy.
At all.
At all. And we can't grasp it because we find joy in little things. Even think about this. Even if we don't have the money, I'm talking for the three of us, I'm not speaking for anybody else.
Come on.
Even if we don't have the money, there's a couple of things we can find some joy in. Number one, we're going to be off for a couple of days.
Come on.
Yeah, we won't have to go to work. Number two, we're going to have family around.
Come on.
At some point, people going to come through and they're going to say, hey, we might even have a couple of spirits and laugh at some folks. But everybody does not have that.
Come on.
And we have to take into account, and my brother's keeper. This sister said, Psalms 23 saved her life. We should have things in place where that sister can say, I am so glad that this is out there for me and I can utilize it. And it gives me just a little bit of something when I leave until next Wednesday. We leave people with just a little bit better of a quality of life than when they tuned in at 8 o'clock. That's our mission. That's what we agreed to do when we started this 3 years ago. It might not be a lot, but if we improve the quality of your life this much, then our mission was accomplished. And at the end of the day, we come on here and we're transparent. We're who we are in all of our splendor, good, bad, and the ugly.
Come on.
But at the end of the day, you know what the three of us are, and no one, this goes back to the first part of the show, no one, they can say whatever they want to say about me. I'm genuine.
Woo.
This is who I am. This is who I'm going to be tomorrow. You know, this is who I'm going to be the day before. I'm genuine. And if you genuinely don't like me, I genuinely don't really care.
Come on, that part.
Because it does not change how my blood flows, how my heart beats. It doesn't change how grateful this is. And I'm speaking for this sister today. Sister, it does not change how grateful she is to be here today with us.
Right. Because
now, keep in mind, that's a metaphor. I'm not talking about literally here on this podcast. I mean literally here on this earth.
Listen, there is somebody at my, listen, I always say this, and we said this before on the podcast. At my best, there's somebody happy they ain't me. And at my worst, there's somebody who wish they could be me. Because right now I'm breathing. There's somebody who's not breathing who would say, you know what? We could switch places. You can lay in this grave and let me come back and I'll take on all your problems. And family, that's where we've got to do better. Listen, what I keep hearing in my spirit is this. There is loneliness in the holiday season. Start checking on your brothers and sisters.
All right.
And I hear this also in my spirit. Stop letting folk make you feel a certain way about an issue, a person, a place, or a thing. Make your own mind up about things that are out there. Now, understand this. We're here to give you information. I'm not here to tell you what to think or how to think. But I am telling you, I'm going to give you enough information that you can do the research yourself and think for yourself. And guess what? I am proud of anybody who thinks, even if what they're thinking totally disagrees with what I'm thinking. At least you're thinking. Guess what? Too many times we let these Pied Pipers play a nice tune, and we all following them to the river. They ain't taking us to the river to drink. They taking us to the river to drown. And family, we've got to wake up. We've got to do better. Your mental health matters. Now, a lot of folks will say, well, how does this involve my mental health? Let me tell you something. When you're unemployed and you did everything you could to help folks, that's a mental strain on you. When you did everything to help folks, and every time you turn around, there's somebody procrastinating for their own personal gains, trying to murky the conversation about you and always making it seem like you ain't did nothing good. That's a toll on your mental health when you know you've done everything you possibly could do to do right and be right. Let me tell you something.
It's some powerful stuff being said tonight.
That's why I got to say this, and I'm going to turn it back over to both of y'all. But when you're going through, when you've given all you've had to make sure other folks are still above water, but you steadily drowning and ain't nobody threw a life preserver out for you. Your mental health is now under the test. And now you're asking yourself, did what I did when I did it, was it worth this? And guess what, family? Here's the crazy thing. Everybody got something to say about something until it happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
And when it happens to you, most of the time what you say is, I wish somebody would help me. I wish somebody would have mercy. See, we quick to prosecute and persecute folks when we're in the seat of judgment. But when we're in the seat of being judged, we always want folks to have mercy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all please be nice to. Wait a minute. Somewhere it says the same amount of judgment you hand out, that's the same amount of judgment you'll be judged by.
Mm-hmm.
Family, we've got to do better. Here's why. Representation matters, and there is some young boy, young girl, some child somewhere watching you. And when they begin acting and doing what you do, remember, you are now responsible for what you have put and programmed in them. And that's why we have mass shootings where people are sitting around right now and we don't know what's going on. That's why there's situations all over the world of war, rape, molestation, people doing all type of manners of perverted things, but we don't want to talk about that. See, here's the crazy thing. A lot of y'all walking around looking good on the outside. My brother said to me, bro, you looking casket sharp today. When my job connotated today, I had to put this suit on. But guess what? This suit doesn't show you what's on the inside of me. Yeah, I might look casket sharp, but on the inside, you don't know what's going on. And that's the point. You've got to start asking folks and looking at them. Just because they're smiling, driving good, wearing good, living good, they might be going through pure hell. And on the other side, there are folks who may not have what you have, and they're going through hell too. Or they might be happy. At the end of the day, is it not our responsibility to at least ask, are you okay? And if they say they're okay, always let them know. Should you not be okay, you could always talk to me, and make it that when they talk to you, you don't go out there putting their business all out in the street. Because some folks, they only want you to talk to them where they can be the one who go tell it.
The tape recorder.
That being said, let me turn it back over to my brother and sister. I'm out.
I got to address my dear friend, Ms. Jones. You know, we talked on this the other day. Stop giving people more power than you give God. If that's not profound, I don't know what is. More, you give people more power than you give God. That says so much that it should take everybody by storm and say, well, let me look at myself and see, am I guilty of that? Am I holding people higher than I'm holding the one that's really guiding my life? Someone that is totally irrelevant. I care more about him than I do about doing God's will. I think at some point, when we get to that point in our lives where we say, okay, let me see what matters in my life. If anybody says, well, the first thing that matters in my life is what people think of me, I want you to call Positive Choices at 337-446-4707. because one of the things we're going to show you is there's way more in your life than what people think of you. Way more. When a sister like that and Sister Sias can say, I'm glad to be on earth than have the earth on me.
Mm-hmm.
Jones can say that. And it is not until that moment that you're faced with your mortality that you start to really find out how much people's worth really matters. Because people are all around you when you're up. But when you're down, it truly tells you what people think of you.
Yep.
And that's even in business. When you struggle in business, those folks that walk away, don't be mad at them. When people leave your life, don't be angry at them. They left because they were supposed to leave. And you know now what you're working with. We have to get to the point where we start to prioritize what's important. And what people think about me is not at the top of my list. What price, as the champ Muhammad Ali says, what price they're paying to the world is more important. The thing, your service to mankind, and I'm paraphrasing Muhammad Ali, the work that you do for mankind is your rent for being on this earth right now. And some of us, we ain't doing nothing. We living for free.
Rent free.
Rent free. These sisters right here who have gone through a struggle, they know now who they can count on. Because when you down, and you look around, you see a lot less people than when you up. When you up, they all like, hey girl, you looking good, how you doing? But when you was down, did anybody call to check on you? To see how you doing? To make sure you was okay? Prioritize where folks belong in your life.
That part. Sister Shauna, I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and then I'm going to give myself 2 minutes, and then we go close with Brother Brown with 2 minutes. So Sister Sias, it's all yours.
My final thoughts on today's show as we come to a close, to every parent, especially my single mothers, this holiday season, I want you all to know that alone and lonely do not mean the same things. That if you all find yourselves feeling lonely or hopeless, that's a feeling that no one should experience by yourself. If you find it overwhelming, of course, call, Mr. Our friend with Positive Choices. But I also want you all to, instead of beating yourselves up this year, make memories, not stress. Make memories with your children. I know that you think they need what they're asking for, but I'm telling you that at the end of the day, your child 5, 10, 15 years from now will remember those cookies y'all made. They will remember the string of popcorn y'all made to put on the tree. They're going to remember the hot chocolate or the pajamas and the movie night. Start making more memories with the time that you have. Because speaking from somebody whose time was almost taken, a memory, sometimes you don't even have that fully. Use your time wisely.
All right, Sister Shauna, that was deep. So, family, here's what I'm gonna close out with this. Know that the holidays isn't happy for everybody, and loneliness is real. You feeling alone is real, but you don't have to be alone. Your feelings and where you at is a choice. So know that it's okay not to be okay. What's not okay is to stay there by yourself and not knowing that you have help. And you see running across the ticker, there is a phone number. It's Positive Choices Counseling Service. If you need someone to talk to, I'm going to start putting up the suicide prevention line phone number also. Be exact, Miss Shauna, if you'll put that inside the comments, I appreciate it. Listen, family, we got entirely too many people in the world, not only in community of color, but people in the world, human beings like you and I, who are depressed, lonely, and suicidal. And nobody even asked them were they okay. Nobody even paid attention to the signs or the symptoms. And some of us are not even qualified to, but I think we're all qualified to be human enough to ask folk, are you okay? How are you doing? And to realize everybody might not be where you're at. Um, and to have a little humanity toward your fellow man. So with that being said, I just want y'all to continue to love on one another.
Mm.
And let's stop confusing perfect with good and being agreeable. You know, we don't have to agree. We can agree to disagree, but we don't have to fall out and hate each other. And we've got to really, right now, we need more unity in our community like never before. And unity in our community means that we love on one another, even if we don't see things the same way. So with that being said, let me turn it over to my brother, Edward J. Brown. Brother Brown.
I'm blessed, truly blessed to have two profound individuals on this podcast with me, and they both said very profound words. So I'm not going to keep you or try to add too much to that. But all I want to say is during this holiday season, pay attention to what you value and not what things cost. Because the things that you value the most, you will realize you can't put a price on it. So if you're going to give your children something, give them the knowledge of value versus cost. Teach them and ask them, what do they value? And I'm with my sister Shauna. I bet they say, I value you, mommy. I value you, daddy. I bet you that's what they say. So as we end tonight, we're going to end the way we always end. If nobody else told you today, we love y'all. Peace.
Love
We'll see y'all
y'all.
next week.